little friend and its little flip-up screen. This is Sony RX0 Mark II. It's a 15.3 megapixel ultra compact camera with 1-inch sensor. The very sensor you can find in the legendary RX100 series cameras. Unlike its predecessor, RX0 Mark II can shoot electronically stabilized 4K 30 frames per second 100 megabits per second video internally with no time limit. So the question is this $699.99 monster any good? Design-wise, RX0 Mark II looks pretty much like the Mark I. It has the same dimensions except it's a little thicker. But height and width-wise, it is still smaller than a GoPro. But since RX0 is not an action camera, we will not be comparing it to Hero 7. It is 10 meter water, 2 meter shock and 200 kilogram force crush proof. It has the on, off and record buttons at the top, and behind this door you can find the 700 mAh MP-BJ1 battery that you may remember from RX0 Mark I. Just like A6400 after A6500, they didn't change the battery because the new and faster Bionic X processor is also more power efficient. In my own tests, I was able to record 4K 30 frames per second 100 megabits per second video for 49 minutes. Behind this door we have the HDMI out, micro USB, microphone input and the micro SD card slot. Also, this door is removable. For the times when you don't need it, you can just get it out of your way. There's a little hook for your wrist strap, and of course we have the tripod mount at the bottom. The buttons at the back requires a little getting used to, but once you do, you go between the menus with no problem. The screen doesn't support touch, but it flips up and down and you can pretty much set it to any angle you need. Microphones are placed nicely, you don't have to worry about blocking them while you're holding the camera. And when it is mounted on a tripod or a shooting grip, you can still access all doors.
But there are some things we need to talk about. For example, this screen. If you like to shoot in 4K, it cannot set to sunny mode or 1080p 120 frames per second. Also in 1080p 120 frames per second, you cannot apply electronic image stabilization. And the screen dims itself at 1 minute, and in 1 minute and 10 seconds it turns off, and there is no setting to keep it on. For example, right now it is connected to power and it turned off. I wish they add a setting to that. For example, when it's connected to power or when it's in selfie mode, maybe it should give me some more time before turning off. Just like its older brother, it doesn't have continuous autofocus when it comes to video or continuous shooting. But the minimum focus distance is now 20 centimeters instead of 50 centimeters. And just like the first one, it has preset focus.
And preset focus gives you two options. Near mode, everything is in focus from 50 centimeters to 1 meter, or normal mode where everything is in focus from 1 meter to infinity.
It has S-Log 2 and the minimum ISO is 1000. In October 2018, Sony released a firmware update for Sony RX01, the older brother of this. And with that update, the RX0 One got the function to zoom. Now that's a clear image zoom. You don't necessarily lose a lot of quality zooming in like that. This one already has that. Just like its older brother, it has high frame rate and it can shoot up to 960 frames per second. Now, the older brother, compared to Sony RX100 Mark V, the quality wasn't good enough. With this, that gap seems to be gone.
Even though RX0 Mark II cannot shoot as long as RX100 Mark V, it is nice to see that the quality of the slow-mo coming out of RX0 Mark II is equal.
Actually, during those tests, I realized that RX0 Mark II had better color compared to RX100 Mark V. The new color science seems to be great. Sony RX0 Mark II shoots 4K with no pixel binding and through full pixel readout. And just like its older brothers, it does the oversampling, so the 4K looks even better. And when you apply electronic image stabilization, it just crops 7%. And if you want more, that's when things get more interesting. Sony released an updated version of Play Memories app. It's called Imaging Edge. Now what you can do is you can transfer your video files to your smart device. You can do this in two ways. You can transfer the proxy videos or you can transfer the regular original quality videos. Now I have my setup here with the Sony grip and an external microphone, and I can use the zoom function on the grip and apply 1.5x zoom, but I'm gonna stop this. Let's shoot something fast and then transfer it to the phone. It's gonna start coming towards you, and now I'm gonna start running. All right, now let's go into our tiny menu and hit send it to smartphone. All right, and the item is copied. So up until here, everything is fine. But this is where things become a lot of fun. Now we get out of this app and we go into the Imaging Edge movie edit add-on and we start editing our videos. Now I'm gonna select the video and I'm gonna hit OK. Import the selected video and complete the image stabilization. So the information from the gyroscope in this machine is already applied here. So when I hit play, as you can see, the footage looks very stable. And what I can do is I can go ahead and change the aspect ratio if I want to share this on a tasteless, horrible social media service. I can change that to that one as well. If I don't want that much cropping in, I can go into my frame, hit zoom, and I can change how much cropping I want. And of course, this changes the amount of stabilization applied to your image. I'm gonna hit reset here. I'm gonna go back. Let's change this back to 16:9. Now what I can do is I can hit track. Let's say I wanna track this person here. I'm gonna hit start.
Yeah, because he's very
And as much as it can see, it tracked that person. I can also change the speed. I can trim. Now one thing when it comes to exporting this, you can only export it in full HD or HD, which means 1080p or 720p. So I hope they're gonna release another version of this for our computers, maybe, that we can apply this and export in 4K. Now let's perform a microphone test. I'm gonna unplug the microphone here. And now I'm recording with its own microphone, and this is what they sound like. Let's add some wind to this. Now testing using the external microphone. Of course, I'm hoping that there's a big difference. This is why we're carrying these around. And let's test what happens if we catch some wind. I think we may be suffering from a little bit of rolling shutter, but just like what Samsung did with S10, when you transfer the file to your device, it fixes it. It's actually that easy to fix, and Sony knows this. They add it into their software, so it reads the information from gyroscope and it fixed the rolling shutter.
I always joke about Sony releasing faster overheating cameras, but lately Sony has been really good about releasing products that don't have overheating issues. When I tested the first generation RX0, I was able to record for 14 minutes and 26 seconds before it shut down due to overheating. And that was only 1080p 30 frames per second, 60 megabits per second video. When it comes to this guy, the yellow heat sign appeared after 27 minutes of recording 4K 30 frames per second, 100 megabits per second video, yet it didn't shut down. After 34 minutes, the battery died. I switched the battery, but that battery didn't have much power, so it recorded only for 1 minute and 10 seconds. So I plugged it into power. And it recorded for another 15 minutes. In total, RX0 Mark II recorded for 50 minutes without overheating, while the auto power off temperature is selected to standard. I'm sure this is going to change when we have heat waves in Los Angeles, but still, it is pretty impressive. I think one of the most impressive things about RX0 Mark II is the low light performance. This looks so much brighter than what it was like while I was shooting this footage.
Another field this thing shines is the photos.
And I was able to take pretty good pictures with it. It also has eye autofocus, and it seems to be working just fine. You can adjust the JPEG quality while shooting JPEG plus RAW. It has built-in time-lapse feature. You don't need to buy it separately anymore. Has the new and tidier menu with My Menu option to put your most used things in, and it groups the burst photos. RX0 Mark II is everything I wished RX0 Mark I was. With its clean HDMI out, social media ready smart device apps, it is truly a pocket monster. It may take a while to get used to the controls, you may need at least 3 more batteries, but at the end of the day, this will deliver the footage you're looking for.
Well, thank you very much for watching this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit that subscribe button. I must have a subscribe button somewhere here on the screen. Hit that subscribe button and play Ding Dong Ditch with the bell next to it and join the world domination. And please let me know what you think about Sony RX0 Mark II in the comment section. Below. And until I see you the next time, take really good care of yourselves. And hoşça kalın. Oh, it's beautiful.